Holy
How'd
cow.
I do? How'd I do?
That was a beautiful fade.
Thank you. I've been working. I've been,
You're getting
all week.
applause.
All
Well,
week I've been practicing that fade.
I'm surprised at the choice of music, Jason. I thought
Why?
I was the only Def Leppard fan.
Why are you surprised?
True Def Leppard fan.
Why are you
I,
surprised?
I didn't peg you as an 80s arena rock guy.
Interesting. Welcome everyone to Now of Work Digital Meetup episode number 316.
Wow.
So glad that everyone is here.
I
You know,
realize I say wow. No matter what number you say,
wow.
I go, wow. We recorded our third podcast this week, and I go, wow.
Wow. Uh, you know, and we can only play our music at the first part so that our editors behind the scenes don't have to do everything that they have to do to do. When I play the music in the middle, Europe gets mad that we're playing unlicensed music, so we have to go through lots
Oh,
of hoops.
yeah.
But just because we're gonna get done with the music part quick, why did I play that song?
I already know.
Ah, shit. Okay, cool. We're just
Photograph.
Okay. I didn't I thought that the Def Leppard thing might take over the song title.
Okay, everybody, the name of that song is Photograph. Why do we care about Photograph on a Friday? Jason, do you know that the name of our photo shoot this afternoon? Yes, we have a photo shoot this afternoon is called the Bestie Shoot.
Hmm. Yeah,
When I
like
reserved studio time for two, it's called the Bestie package.
the anxiety just keeps going up and up and up for this quote unquote photo shoot this
Oh my
afternoon.
God.
Like
Jason
we
is so nervous. He's been picking out what to wear all morning.
like we almost need a photographer to photo the photo shoot as to how goofy this is going to
I
be.
thought about that. I thought about finding a videographer to capture the photo shoot. There's still time. There's still time.
Yeah, don't you have one of those little runts around your house? Oh,
I'll
that
just
otherwise
recruit one of my
girls, yeah, bring them
kids.
with
Don't you have one of those runts around?
one of those runts running around your house that you could
Oh,
bring.
Bailey just texted me. I'll recruit Bailey.
Yeah, tell her we'll buy her a Kit Kat bar or something.
She
So
requires K-pop albums.
yes, happy Friday. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's get started with green, yellow, and red. Green, you're great today. Yellow, so, red, not so good. How's your week been? How's your mood today? Big plans for the weekend? Anything? We've got lots of greens rolling in.
I love it.
Jess, yourself, you're
Uh,
wearing red, what are those things? Like shoehorns in your ears?
yeah, I had an interview this morning, so I decided to match my nail. Jason, this photo shoot's a big deal. I had to pick my nail polish color for a
You think
photo
you're gonna get the job? Oh, not that kind of interview.
shoot. No, a media interview.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so I decided to put on red earrings.
I don't think Heidi liked the fact that I called them shoehorns.
My my earrings. I don't know what you would. They're like woven something. I don't know. I'm green because Bailey's birthday is this weekend.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yes, one of the runts. My dad used to call us rugrats. One of the
Oh,
rugrats.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah. Can you get one of those Rugrats to bring just a phone to shoot some video today?
I'll get Bailey.
Um, Jessica's yellow.
Oh,
Jessica, uh, text. Here, text. I need a text friend. Text, let me know if I can do anything or if you want to chat later on. Uh, oh, Kim was laid off. Oh man.
what?
Green, even though laid off. Sometimes laid off is a good thing, maybe. Did I not put enough numbers in my I was sorry, my phone number is a little got lots of twos in it. But yeah, Jessica, if you want to chat, let me know. And Kim, sorry to hear that you were laid off, but hopefully greener pastures.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Jason, how are
Jess.
you? I
Oh,
said green.
yeah. I'm green also, except I have to say that um, the whole uh, my last kid leaving for college,
Mm,
and more than that, all of his friends leaving for college, who
mm,
last night I was at a giving them knucks as they were leaving, and uh, it's a um, it's weird. Yeah. Yeah,
mm.
I'm kind of I get sentimental at times. It's definitely weird. So, yeah, we've been writing and podcasting a lot this week about back to school. Everyone's holding up signs. Like I was looking at a sign earlier today of my kids in fourth grade and first grade, first day of school. And yeah, so it's weird. But I'm green because it's
Mm.
just the start of a new chapter. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Aw, that's it. Yeah, it is a turning of a page for sure.
We are going to discuss workday talks with Silver Lake, Brian.
Brian, you should come on and talk with us about it.
Thanks for frickin' ignoring my sentimental moment with my kid going off to school and get right into the
He's like, wait a
workday.
minute. Wait a
Let's
minute. There's
let's
a rumor.
let's talk finance shit all of a sudden, and impact on customers and things like that. I Jess knows I was up a little late last night doing a number of different media interviews on the topic. So I have some very poignant opinions on it,
Mm,
Brian, that if you're willing to come on, we'd love to bring you on. And if you're not, you can just stay there in the chat and type away. And you don't have to put on a tie, because I know you're
ooh,
always in
he
a tie.
says
Oh,
we're
good.
not.
He's willing to come on. Let's do our one big thing
Okay.
for the week, and then we'll bring on Brian. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Adrian, Adrian. That I've never seen that name.
I know Adrian. We follow each other. Hi, Adrian.
Yeah,
Oldest starting
we
high
never we
school.
don't ask about newbies anymore.
No,
I don't know
who's new here?
yeah, is anyone new? I've never seen Adrian's name. Maybe he's just been a lurker or a voyeur. Um, all right,
New
and
here.
Adam is new here also.
Wow.
Please put your LinkedIn profile. Please put where you're joining from. Maybe Natalia is new
Natalia,
also.
I love this.
Yeah, it's great to have some newbies here. So,
I learned something here
lurkers.
now.
Well, instead of a voyeur, a lurker. Yeah, lurker's fine.
So we should maybe
You know what
explain.
you know what a LARPer is, by the way?
Yeah, I think we've had this conversation.
Oh, we have. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But you should explain.
No, I don't even remember. It's just kid slang that I don't really understand. LARPing.
Somebody remind us what it actually stands for. It's
Yeah.
like cosplaying, role playing,
LARPing.
pretending, LARPing,
LARPing.
live action role play. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah. So what's your one big thing? Everyone put in your one big thing. My son proposed to his girlfriend and she said yes. That
oh
is
my
one
God, Jason, I
big
thought
thing.
you were saying this. Are you saying this?
No. No, it's up in the top. Stacy
Oh my
said
gosh.
one big thing
Wow, that's exciting.
at sunset. That is really, really cool. Uh, love that.
You did.
If you've ever dressed up to go to the Renaissance Fair, you've dipped your toe into LARPing.
So true. And Jessica, I want to bring my oldest to our Minnesota Renaissance Festival next weekend.
Look,
She'll
Brandy's here.
she'll dig it. Hi,
Brandy's
Brandy.
here from Jacksonville, Glidewell, where I was. I had some fun down in Jacksonville last week. Brandy, welcome.
That's
Uh,
amazing. So
oh
we
my
should,
gosh, John Mellencamp. There's some cool OBTs.
I love it. Look at all these.
Lots of cool one big things. Um, and a lot of people haven't said anything. So, well, you do your, oh, my mom just texted me for the record. Here's my one big thing. My computer and my printer are working without a hitch. I have literally spent 2 weeks trying to get my mom's computer and printer working. Uh, so the fact that she just texted me saying that that's working, that is awesome.
I love it.
Adam has a talk being released at 1 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, I'm going to click on that link
I
so
say
I
I'm
have it
afraid to
ready.
click on the link, but we'll get there. Uh,
Adam, I'm gonna start following you. Wow. Okay. Good, good. It's
Any
all
other one
safe.
big things? Jess, what's your one big thing?
Jason,
And then
I know.
our executive producer, McCrae, will get you on, Brian.
Yeah. Okay, Jason, I'm gonna show you one big thing. You know you have teenagers when?
Okay?
Do you know what I'm gonna show you yet?
No.
I left for the gym the other day and didn't notice a single thing. Brian, come on with us. Or just wait, Brian. I left for the gym the other day and somehow did not notice this. Came out of the gym and walked behind my car and saw something in my car.
Oh, yes, now I know.
So
Are you
my,
gonna get it? Do you have it?
you know, you have teenagers when.
Oh my God. I can't believe you have that. I cannot believe you have that in your house.
This was in my car.
But now
This,
I can't believe it's in your house. I heard it was in your car, but I can't believe you have it in your house.
what am I supposed to do with this? This was in, this was in the back of my car. This is when you know you have teenagers who are out at midnight up to no good, Jason.
Did you get any explanation as to why you had that in the car?
So Ainsley, as you know, I live in a neighborhood with lakes everywhere, and Ainsley's favorite thing to do is drive around the lakes, cruise around the lakes, and play music with the sunroof open, blasting music. Like usually I get in my car in the morning to go to the gym, and I have to remember to turn down the volume before it blows out my eardrums because she just blasts music and drives around the lake. And this was protecting a pothole. So somebody probably tore up a tire, thanks to Ainsley deciding that this needed to be
Hmm.
rescued from the road.
Well, this is interesting because like we have Jessica said leave it at a park, it'll find its way back to its
True.
place. It's like a frog. You know, you can just put it back and it'll find its way
Yeah.
back. Laurel said we put one in our CEO's office. Randy said, "Did you see Boston with all the cones on statues?"
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it's a thing, Jess. I mean, maybe
Oh
they're
my
just
God.
ahead of you in this.
We coned a friend's car, covering the car. Okay, I have lots of ideas now.
I still can't believe it's in your house.
You did not expect me to. This was just for you guys. I literally went out and got this thing just for you guys.
Maybe you could decorate it as a Christmas tree this year.
Oh my God. Okay, that's mine, Jason. What's your one big thing?
Um, Tartan Army. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hi, Brian.
Hey guys.
What do you
Brian,
think of
you're
my
on here,
orange
so
safety cone?
you're gonna have to talk about your one big thing in a second. But you know, my one big thing this week, um, and it is a well, I'll just say it. Well, no, I'm not going to say it. Well, no, I will say it. My mother-in-law is unfortunately diagnosed with a situation, and my one big thing is to say a quick prayer for her.
No.
Um, so anything else that I didn't say would be not as big as that. So
Mm.
I'll just leave it at that, and but we'll move on. Like, there's a lot of exciting shit that's happened this week. I'm getting ready to teach my class next week. Been working on a lot, but my mother-in-law's in my thoughts, so that's probably my one
Well,
big thing.
ours as well. Thank you for sharing that, Jason.
Brian, do you have a one big thing this week?
I'm actually writing a book and I've got a taskmaster cracking the whip behind me to get it finished.
I
Uh,
don't see a taskmaster. I just see a lot of shit. I mean, stuff.
thank you for the kind words, Jason.
So that's all of his sources of inspiration
But
surrounding.
In fact, what you can't see, but this way, is a whole rack full of vendor swag that
ah,
my kids love to plow through it when they show up every few months, and uh, it's interesting. You know, the good old days of vendor swag, they'd find things like an iPad Mini, and now all they get are things like okay, how about a pair of Lawson software drumsticks? Got
I was
those.
gonna say those look like drumsticks.
Wow, that's back in the cool days of swag. I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean, there's some really old swag I use for gag swag on presentations. I've got a reel of 6250 BPI tape and some punch cards and all that kind of stuff if you really want to scare the
what
audience.
did he just say? 6250 BPI tape?
Yeah, obviously you never had to load a tape drive, but
Obviously, obviously. Yeah, of course. Now like this vendor swag is like keeps China in business, I would say. That's probably a low blow. Probably not politically correct, but the stuff I've been getting, maybe I'm going to the wrong conferences, Brian, but Tammy, I see Tammy on here. I think Tammy's got enough also to
Yeah.
keep the Chinese economy going.
well, I could do a whole show just on gag swag and other stuff, but both of us have bigger fish to
So,
fry
so
today.
do you have workday swag? I'll segue us.
Uh, I know I had a piece of workday swag that I actually gave away the other day. It was a pen, pencil, desk clock set combination thing. It was actually quite nice. I was kind of sad to part with it, but it's been around for a long, long time. Anyway.
So all that stuff about Workday, what do you think about it? I mean, I saw that I am not a shareholder, just full disclosure. I saw the stock was up quite a bit yesterday. And for those of you not paying attention or don't even know what Workday is an HCM vendor, HR tech vendor in our space. The stock was up yesterday, little about 207 it opened this morning based on some news that it was going to be taken private by a private equity firm. Looks like it's down about 8 points to 199 as we're taping this. Um, what are your thoughts, Brian? I think that I, JG is saying lawsuit sell to PE. Um,
Wow.
I know that I did a bunch of media stuff, and that media stuff is starting to come out a little bit this morning. But let's go ahead, Brian. I'd love your thoughts, and then Jess, and then I'll try to bring up the rear.
Well, and kind of like you, I I know I had some workday stock years ago. I don't think I have any today. But anyway, now that we got that out of the way, and by the way, do we need to have a safe harbor statement, for you and Jess
Safe
on this?
harbor, safe harbor.
Um, okay, so here's some points and quickly. It's being Silver Lake, we have to think about them as a private equity firm, and PE firms have kind of a cadence as to what they do when they buy companies. That usually means they need to find a new liquidity event in 5 to 7 years because they have to repay their investors. So when you look at a deal like this, I think you have to ask yourself, well, what would Silver Lake intend to do on how they're going to grow the value of the company in that intervening time frame? And I think that's a real interesting, deal you could speculate on. Workday is so big, I don't think they're going to find some other like ERP vendor they can smash them together with and get that past the Federal Trade Commission. But you never know. I could see them buying them, and then a few years later, after they tarred up the balance sheet a bit, they could flip them over to someone else. And it might be somebody very different. Somebody like an Anthropic could be a buyer who might very much want access to the kind of data that's sitting in some of those systems. Whether they could get to it legally or not, that's another matter. But I know Google has always wanted to be in the ERP kind of space, and maybe they could do it. But anyway, we could wonder and wonder, wonder. I do think, though, that I haven't seen people talk about is the ownership of Workday stock. It's split into two classes. Class A has the voting shares, and only Dave Duffield and Aneel Bhusri own those shares. That's it. So if Silver Lake wants to get a deal done, they have to get Dave and Aneel's approval on it, or it just doesn't happen. Um, the Class B shareholders, well, they don't get a vote, so they don't get a say. It doesn't really matter. And it makes me wonder if part of the reason that Workday would even be in discussions about this right now is because neither Dave or Neil is probably wanting to be the CEO of the company anymore for personal reasons or what have you. And I think that's probably an underlying kind of issue that's out there. I apologize, Jason. I didn't hear you wax eloquently on all these other media deals yesterday and today, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. Same with you, Jess. Anything big headline?
Jason,
So
maybe you want to comment.
yeah, so Brian, here's my take, and Jess and I have a little bit of a history of this, and I don't think I'm sharing anything I'm not supposed to. I mean, it's really hard to innovate as a public company.
Mhm.
It is really, really hard to innovate as a public company because you are under quarter to quarter to quarter to quarter scrutiny. And I'm sure we can find the link, or maybe McCrae can put the link into the article that I was quoted in this morning because I spent a lot of time on thinking about this last night. Um, I think it's a brilliant move for Workday to try to go private because there's a bunch of transformation that needs to happen at Workday in this AI era in order to get them back to a place where they can continue to dominate. And uh, it is so hard to do that when someone's looking at you quarter after quarter after quarter. You have to spend. You have to spend to deal with your technical debt, as Jason Gorham just said. You have to miss revenue a quarter or two quarters. And to me, if you can find someone, and I'm saying this out loud, and I don't, the Silver Lake deal's not done as far as I know, but
No.
if you can find someone that's willing to fund that and to allow you to take a year or 2 years, personally think, and well as I know Anil, I haven't talked to Anil about this, nor would he tell me. I think Anil's all in. I don't think it has anything to do with looking for a new CEO. I think Anil wants to transform the business, has a lot of energy to transform the business, wants to take it private so he's not held to quarterly scrutiny from the public markets, and will come back out in 2 or 3 years uh, doubly strong. And as I said in one of the articles last night, Workday has an amazing competitive moat. They own 75 to 80% of enterprise software right now when it comes to the HCM space. Okay, people are going to argue, that's fine. They own the data, they own the rules, they own compliance, they own security, they own flows, et cetera, et cetera, all of which agents need to be able to inherit. The other thing that to me going private does is allow them to revamp their pricing. Because in the middle of being public, it's very hard to report one way one quarter and then all of a sudden revamp your pricing, which their per employee per year pricing doesn't make sense anymore in the AI world when you have more agents talking to tools than employees. You have to revamp your pricing. So to me, this is a veil, and I could be completely wrong, and I realize I'm being recorded, but this is a veil to allow them to revamp a bunch of things underneath that they need to be a stronger company going forward, and I'm very optimistic about it.
Well, I share your observation there, particularly about the, let's call it the fewer headaches involved with running a large company that's privately held. I agree with you. I'm kind of struggling with, do either Anil and Dave want to have a big heavy hand on whatever this company is? It could be simply nothing more than sort of like buying a chunk of the company or buying it all. We don't know what that's going to be or how it manifests itself. It'd be nice to know if David and Neil or either one of them is going to have a major role in the company going forward. And I think we all know, all three of us know that there's always been sort of a cult of Dave in starting different HR companies. He had one called Information Associates. He sold that one, I think, to MSA. He had another one called Integral, and it got sold out. And Dave immediately jumped from there to go start PeopleSoft. And then that got taken over by a hostile bid by Oracle. We all know the history of that. By the way, I hope Anil keeps his dog locked up so nobody comes around trying to shoot it. Remember that whole story with PeopleSoft
God.
and Craig Conway. And then we get to Workday. Um, At some point, I'd have to ask, what are these two gentlemen's appetite for running a big company anymore? They've proven all they need to prove, I guess, in the marketplace. I like them both. Do not underestimate that. I genuinely like these two people. But I'm just bringing up the obvious. If it does get bought out, then there is a good chance Silver Lake's going to be bringing in a new CEO, and that will probably set a very interesting tone. And something you didn't mention, and that would have an impact on the culture of Workday, which is something they care very, very much about.
Brian, I'm going
Yeah.
to say one thing, and I want Jess to comment as well. The other thing I just want to say very, very importantly is that a CEO who runs, there are makers and there are managers.
Hmm.
And, Anil and Dave are makers. Anil's actually an excellent manager as well, but he's a maker. So I could easily see a CEO come in or a co-CEO who's an operator to
Mm.
combine with Anil, who's a strategy guy, one of the most brilliant strategy guys I know, to drive this forward. And the last thing I'll say, and then Jess, I want you to jump in. Sorry, I'll shut up. Is that I mean, Brian, Jess, you, me, like I think we've proven ourselves, but I'm not done. The world continues to change, and I think Anil wants to be part of the change. I really, really do. So,
Mm.
as much as we all prove ourselves, some of us, unfortunately or fortunately, however you look at it, have an unscratched, unitched appetite. That made a lot of sense. To keep making the world better. And I think Anil's one of those people, whether he's made $1 in his life or $1 billion in his life. Jess?
Well, I think you're right, Jason, about the moat. And I'll add to that something, Brian, you pointed out. I think the most interesting thing right now is the new players who could and would want a workday. Workday has 2 decades as a system of record for people decisions, people workflows, people data. And with all of the Anthropic, OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, like all of the other players who are suddenly interested in the enterprise ERP HCM space, this gets potentially very interesting for somebody like Workday sitting on top of a mountain of useful workforce data at a moment when everybody's trying to enter the space with agentic, redesigning work, all of the things. So we'll see. This is what I say with every M&A transaction, rumor or reality. We'll see. The devil's in the details. Somebody's got to make it happen, and that gets messy for lots of reasons: leadership, culture, execution. So we'll see. It could be very interesting.
Hassan, thank you for saying what you said. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm not sure that's an interesting. I mean, well, thank you for saying it's an interesting perspective, but I mean, there's a lot of us, and like I don't have anywhere near the money that those guys do, but I mean, there's a lot of us that just want to make the world better. Like I don't. I mean, I work to make sure my family is taken care of, but for the most part, I work to make sure that the same reason I started a company called Knowledge Infusion September 24th, 2004. It was to make the world of work better for my kids. Um, and 20 years later, 21 years later, still at it. There's still a lot of work to be done. And uh, now some days I question whether if AI didn't come along, what
Mhm.
that would look like. But Jess and I tried to move some of this mountain at Mercer.
Yeah.
And as a public company, it's just really hard to innovate. It doesn't, it, does- that, it's not impossible, but it's really, really hard. So I just think don't underestimate that and never underestimate the talent. I mean, there's some amazing, amazing talent at Workday still. Yeah, and as much as everyone says a lot of the talent left, like that happens, you guys. Like people work in a place like unlike my grandpa and my dad who worked for the same company for 97 years, crazy. That doesn't happen anymore. So there's still amazing talent there, and I mean, once again, I'm glad I said I didn't own the stock before because I sound like a fanboy. But uh, let me just say it this way. The world doesn't need more core HR systems. The world needs to think about how do I take those core HR systems and expand and provide more value. And I'm all for anyone that can focus on that instead of rewriting what already exists in a different language.
For sure.
Brian?
So, you and I use different words, Jason, about I like to look at founders versus professional managers. That's one distinction. And professional managers spend almost all their time bowing and kissing the ring of their PE and Wall Street overlords. And second may come whatever they need to do to protect their income package and their golden parachute when the big liquidity event comes in a couple of years. And then third might be the customers, but it's a distant third. And then way down at the bottom, like number 12, might be the employees of a company. So PE firms do have the potential to bring in professional managers and change dramatically the culture of a company. And along those lines, I think we have to pay attention to and not ignore what the standard PE playbook is in application software. For many of them, they either are going to be growth-oriented companies or going to be the kind that cannibalize companies and split it up into pieces. I don't think for a minute anybody's going to really come in with Workday thinking they're going to put a chainsaw to it and cut it into a bunch of little pieces and sell it off. I think they'll hang on to it and try to grow it, but in the process, they'll try to free up all kinds of cash. So the typical PE playbook, they often starve out marketing. They might cut loose a bunch of traditional programmers and developers. They'll may lengthen out some of the new release time frames, anything to generate free cash flow in the short term. Um, and that just helps make their investment look a little bit better. Now, later on, they have to pay the piper because then the company is no longer that attractive to a future buyer if they cannibalized it too much. But there is a playbook there. And, we've all seen that movie a bunch of times. So,
And really quickly, Brian, I mean, yesterday on the treadmill, ChatGPT voice is a great friend of mine these days. So yesterday on the treadmill, when I first got this request, I did a lot of research on Silver Lake. So I also think your landlord is important here.
mhm,
I
absolutely.
don't think you can say a PE firm is a PE firm is a PE firm. I think it's really important that your landlord here. I'm just pulling up my chat because and Kristen Hopf was on here earlier, or I'm not sure if she's still on here, but she brought up this concept about Dell. When Silver Lake bought Dell, Dell was valued at 25 billion. And it's interesting, they went ahead and basically transformed and relisted Dell to a place where now Dell's value is 70 billion.
Wow.
And I think that that is a like to me, if that's the kind of firm that Silver Lake is, where they're willing to do that, like and that's their model, that's something I don't think we can downplay that. And I don't think that and I think it's not wise to call a PE firm as a PE firm because I think there's different types.
Oh, there are asset strippers, there are growth-oriented ones. Vista Equity is really focused on growth. There's a piece of KKR that's focused on growth. There's another piece of KKR that isn't. It's all about maximizing whatever's there. Um, so
The,
I don't
the,
think we're violently disagreeing. Go ahead.
no, no. The other thing I'm just going to say is I think that if this happens, this opens up the door to the end of this weird SAS pop sock blah blah blah
Apocalypse.
SaaSpocalypse discussion because I
Mm,
think unfortunately everyone just said, oh, let's vibe code a new tool, and we kind of took away the concept that we own. There's so much data. There's so much tribal knowledge. Everyone wants context. For gosh sakes, look at the context Workday has. Now, could
right.
they have more? Yes. Could people be using it better? Yes. But look at the context that Workday has, or anyone. Like, don't forget Ceridian has about an organization. UKG also has
Hmm.
about an organization. Like, what a great way to buy a context layer.
Totally.
So let me transition a little bit here. The typical PE deal is about 5 to 7 years long. They like to work in that time frame. But how long do your listeners sit on a piece of ERP or HR software? 10, 15, 20, 25 years, something like that. So I think Jason and Jess, we would be remiss if we don't share with your listeners some tips and tricks on what to do if your favorite vendor all of a sudden is now taken over
Mm.
by not just by PE firm, but by any kind of material change of control. There are some things you need to watch out for, and some things contractually really can drive them nuts.
I would
Um,
love for you to go over that because I tried to
Yeah.
in that article yesterday, but I'd love to hear yours.
So one thing, and I did this in a software negotiation, I knew that the PE owners installed like CFO was coming in to negotiate the software contract. And I knew that they were in year 6 of their investment. And I told her that I wanted to put all of the subscription revenue, all of the any kind of maintenance, any implementation fees, I wanted all of that to go in a sinking fund, and it would only be released 10% a year for 10 years. The CFO just exploded at me and goes, "You know, we can't do that because of revenue recognition." I go, "No, RevRec is your problem. My client's ability to get the value out of a 10, 20-year investment with your software is certainly on the table." If you want to see a vendor erupt like Krakatoa, you hit them with the sinking fund idea in your negotiations. You're probably not going to be able to get away with it, but it's great entertainment nonetheless. But the point still stands. Why buy software at the tail end of the private equity owner's ownership run when you don't know who the new owners are going to be? You don't know whether they're going to be one of these asset strippers or an asset builder company. There's so many unknowns, and with the new leadership coming in, they could change the product mix. They could forcibly force march you to a completely different product line. They could kill off the products you're using. There's a lot of unknowns there, and you want to bulletproof that stuff as much as you can in a contract negotiation. That's just scratching the surface, but I think it's important for people to realize that the real issue today is not to worry so much about what happens in the next few weeks and months, but be thinking about what's going to be happening to me as a customer like 5, 7 years down the road.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that's the biggest point to be made here when you think about customers who are already on Workday or considering deploying additional components of Workday. The roadmap is
Hmm.
full of customer promises that may or may not be kept. They'll adhere to, contractual obligations, but you really need to understand, and it's going to sound like a bunch of lip service at first. You're going to get all these leadership, you know, promises and like bridging you from here to the you really need to understand as soon as you can get past the lip service, what is the actual direction of the company going to be? Because they can take it literally one way or another. And depending on how much and to what degree you actually rely on the current and promised functionality as a core part of how you run your business, you need to get your arms around that sooner than later.
Yes, that's very well put. I think your listeners need to realize that most of your firms will hang on to their ERP software longer than your own marriage will last. And
Oh
that's the
my
most
God.
somber way to put it, okay?
Oh.
The other thing, Jess, that I think is really important about what you just said, and Brian, I love that the fact that you brought this, and I really appreciate it back to the customer, because as you know, well, well, most people know I've been through numbers of these. Like I'll never forget where I was the day the hostel was announced at PeopleSoft. And, I give the same advice I give back then, even though I was wearing a uniform back then and I'm not today, is don't panic. I think that unfortunately, what happens is people are like, oh, well, now we got to buy a new piece of software. Oh, we got to buy a new piece of software. And for those people that are listening to this, I am not like homer for Workday. I'm not a homer for Ceridian. I'm not a homer for UKG. If this was Oracle, if this was SAP, which by the way I've done, I would say the exact same thing. Like, and just said it so well. A, understand the roadmap and where the organization's going. B, be part of it.
Hmm.
I think that's the other thing is that a lot of you that would say that you haven't been involved with the roadmap as much as you would have liked to have been, this is a great opportunity to lean in with your negotiation power a little bit and say you might go somewhere else. Let them decide if you're being truthful on that or not. Um, and the third thing I would just say around it is make sure that you leverage, your relationship with the vendor. It's crazy the number of times that we talk to organizations who they say, "Do you have a relationship with a vendor?" And they're like, "Well, we haven't talked to them for a year." I'm like, well, you're paying. Like that's your landlord. That's your landlord. And I think that's really, really important to understand. Jennifer, I want to make sure I address some of these questions. Jennifer said, "We're getting further embedded with Workday, and I am nervous about having everything in Workday." So, Jennifer, like, uh, A, you should have been nervous about that before. And B, like, I think that comes back to your architectural strategy. One of the things that's so important to think about, Jennifer, around that is when you think about it, like, I've said this for a long time. Which of your processes are timeless and which of your processes are agile? And it's really, really important that we think about that long term. Jennifer said we have Cornerstone as our LMS, and I wish I could have had more power over that decision. I'm not sure what that means. The decision of what happened with Cornerstone or things like that. But all of these vendors, you guys, um, the leaders are human. And while they have different pressures being put on them, they do want to listen. I know the people at Cornerstone really well. And if you get to the right people, they do want to listen. The people at Workday, do want to listen. So I think it's really, really important that you keep that in mind. And Liz just said Workday likely bundled the LMS for free. Nothing's free, you guys. I mean, that's the other thing to keep in mind based on what you just said. Right now, you guys, I mean, right now, one of the things that I think is so, so hard for any vendor, and I feel bad for vendors, is that it is very, very hard to predict the future right now. Like if you would have asked any of these vendors a year from now if they'd be focusing on agent pricing versus per employee per year pricing, and it would be such a big topic, there's no way they would have said that. So, like, it's really, really hard. And, Jason just said it in the chat, don't sign more than a year contract. I think that's wise. Um, unless unless it is something that's timeless, like a core system of record per se.
Unfortunately, it takes at least a year to get value out of anything, which is also problematic. And these, comments about bundling and Randy's comment earlier, does that mean recruiting is going to get better? It depends on like when something is bundled, uh, and whether or not it's a best of breed point solution versus an extension of the platform that you just turned on because it came with the platform. All of these comments depends on which master is being served. Maybe recruiting never was intended to be best of breed. They're not serving that master. They're serving the platform master. That's what I mean by understanding where the roadmap intends to go and what master is going to take priority over all other masters. If they're not intending to be a best in class, I'm not saying they don't want it to be good or good enough, but they're not a best in class learning provider or a recruiting provider. They're a platforms solution who cares intensely about infrastructure and data architecture and the extensibility of their platform. So yes, they're going to bundle things because they want that wide footprint. I've always had a problem with this platform versus point solution conversation.
Well, and Jess and I have talked about this a lot. What do you want to be great at versus what is it okay to be okay at? If the things that it's okay to be okay at, I think it's fine to use a lowest common denominator platform.
Right.
The things you want to be great at, competitive edge. I mean, Jess and I have started a company our new company that's only 4 months old, and we have 24 pieces of software. But guess what? We have a harness, and none of us know we're using 24 pieces of software, nor do we care. And the great thing about it is that when one gets better than the other, we can rip out
Yeah.
one and replace the other, and it still has all the context. I realize we're small, so it's much easier for us to do that than a big enterprise, but that's the new enterprise architecture that we all need to be focusing towards.
But that's also how sprawl happens. There's also tech sprawl.
Yep, exactly. Brian, jump in.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just having flashbacks on two different things. One is you don't know this, but I've done a bunch of litigation stuff, and in one of the cases, I probably read over 10,000 software contracts. So just
Mm.
hearing you guys and looking at the comment stream about some of the let's call them contracting strategies some folks want to have is about to make my head explode. Just thinking back on all that fun work. Um, the the one thing you want as a customer is you want to have contractually some mechanism that protects you from outrageous kinds of price increases and surprises. That's
Yep.
number one. Number two is you want to have a contract that lets you acquire additional capability at some very affordable pricing. And that's really hard for a lot of vendors to do right now because they still can't even figure out what a token costs, and among other kind of issues in their AI capabilities they're adding in. Anyway, the bottom line on all this is I think today is a time when, after the call, ask somebody in legal to pull your old software contracts and you want to start reviewing them. Did you actually put in material change of control clauses?
Mm.
Um, and if you did, and if there were, what are some of the triggers and the penalties or whatever that may exist? You may actually have some rights you didn't even know about, and better to be wise and upfront on these. Most companies, once a contract signed, it gets put in some digital file cabinet, and no one ever looks at it unless there is a potential litigation case looming. And I'm not saying you need to litigate. I am saying you ought to see what you negotiated and make sure you don't get surprised if a new owner does, in fact, come into the picture.
Yeah.
And just the only other thing I just want to add to this, from my standpoint, is what I've heard so far is they're taking Workday private. Something must be wrong. And to
Mm.
me, like my thought about this is, what if you're taking Workday private because you think something could go very, very right? And call me optimist. Bill Kudick in a space used to call me the Midwest optimist, all the time. But
I won't
I,
tell you the names he'd call me, but anyway, go ahead.
but I do think that there's good reason right now, uh, and without naming names of other vendors, like there's people I've actually said we should go private because it gives us this opportunity. At the end of the day, I still think we should be looking at what is the positive of this while we
Mhm.
keep in mind everything we've talked about, Brian, around contract review, what do we have, et cetera, et cetera. A, and B, the world of software has forever changed with the advent and invent of AI. So, like, how we think about core HR systems and core HCM
Mm.
systems going forward is not going to be anything like it's ever been before. Like, kill that model, okay? Because the experience of using a piece of software, the when Workday started, will never be the way we experience the use of software going forward.
Agreed. Um,
Someone's trying to break in. Is that an activist investor?
I wish it were
You
that was
didn't know we were going to
Colleen
keep you
trying to
on
come
this whole time.
trying to get the dog. Uh, well, I agree that let's put this on a positive note, and because I've way overstayed my time on here, but uh,
Brian,
I
Jess
got to
and I
give
had no
Silver
idea
Lake
what we were going
credit.
to talk. Jess and I had no idea what we were going to talk about today anyway. So the fact that you showed up with
Sure,
that,
this was a guest-free Friday, and
yeah,
look,
the fact that
look,
this was a
we got the best
GFF.
guest of all.
Yeah, the fact that you showed up, we tried to get like Anil, we tried to get,
Right.
yeah, they all said no, so we got Brian. So it's just a
Yeah, I know.
fit.
I'm not even the B team. But
No, no,
anyway,
you
No,
are.
stop.
so actually, what I was going to say is I got to give Silver Lake credit for picking probably the prettiest bell in the ball. Okay. If they were gonna buy not just an HR vendor or just a finance vendor or just an ERP vendor, they got probably one of the very best ones they could have, is who they were targeting. They're doing this because the stock prices for enterprise software, and you mentioned this earlier, Jason, everyone's been kind of down on it incorrectly because they think that somehow all ERP stuff is just going to vaporize and be of no value. And that's not correct. In fact, to your point, this signals that maybe the investor market has wised up that that SaaS apocalypse deal was a pile of junk to begin with. So, on the positives, good timing because they're going to be able to buy it at a reasonable stock price if they do it. Two, they picked the best bell in the ball. And three, this is a product that's got an extraordinarily well done product line. And what I love about Workday that I don't hear at the other vendors is Workday doesn't have to concern itself with trying to keep tens tens of thousands of older customers who are stuck on old products and platforms that are a drag on their R&D, their support, everything else. So I'd say they picked wisely. And if Anil and Dave want to do the deal, they probably picked a pretty they could do a lot worse than picking Silver Lake. Okay,
Mm.
that's my sum.
Now, what if all of a sudden, after market close today, we hear there's no deal?
That's fine.
Hopefully, we educated some people on the PE world. And
Because this isn't going to be the last
no,
one
for sure.
like this.
No, but what'll happen is this thing will spark the imagination of other investment banking types all over the planet. And they'll be lifting up the covers at everybody else, and whether they're public or private. So who knows? You could see Dayforce Ceridian get flipped again, or I don't think anyone's got the money to go take on Oracle, but you never know. Activist shareholders have made a run on SAP in the past. They could come at them again. You never
Yep,
know.
for sure. Well, Brian, thank you so much for being
Big
here. I
times.
appreciate it.
This was an unexpected deal. So anyway,
And tell
thanks
your
for
lovely
having me
lady
on.
she looked lovely.
Yeah, I'm just surprised we went this long on a topic I didn't even think you were even going to cover today. So anyway,
Yeah, there
No,
we go.
it's good.
you
Stay
guys
tuned.
were a good break for me to get away from heads down
Well,
typing and
great.
dictating. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Brian.
you for being
We'll
here.
see you out there. All right, Jason, that's a wrap on what was this? 316?
350. Where's Bryce these days? Where's Bryce these days?
He retired, remember?
I know he retired. We lost our
We didn't think you
counter.
were retiring from us, Bryce.
Yeah, exactly. Liz, I'm glad you're here. Jessica, I hope your yellow day turns a little bit greener. And to everyone else, I hope you have a great, great weekend. Wish me luck at this photo shoot.
Do you
Uh,
know yet what you're wearing?
no,
Not yet.
no.
Okay. Well, I showed you my outfit, so you have to dress accordingly. Right? Does everybody agree? The woman
Okay.
picks, this is a co-founder photo shoot. My outfit is set. There's no adjustment to my outfit. I don't think, unless you tell me I need a jacket.
Okay, everyone. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.